Hi, and welcome everyone to our second month, well, actually it's our third monthly investor meet, but it's actually the second we've done on a YouTube live stream. So great to have everyone here. We are now coming up to, because it was basically back in January, our meeting that we really kind of like kicked off with our activities becoming a lot more public. And we have kept to what I'm sure many of you have been following is pretty much a daily reporting on where we're at, what's happening within Genius Group by Twitter. And then we have pretty much every week, press releases that have been coming out on the latest things that have been taking place. And here we are with our monthly meeting, where today happens to be 15th of March, which is a very important day because it is a day when we are launching our NFTs. And we're going to be talking about that on this session as well. So would love to, we see a lot of chat already happening on the live stream. So would love to hear, where are you in the world right now? You can kind of post whatever country or city you're in. And that is always very interesting to see just how international we are here. We are going to take a Q&A as we actually go through this as well. So as we go through each of the different steps here, I'll be basically asking Flora, who's going to come on later, to capture all of the different questions that might be showing up. And we already have got quite a few questions that have come through from everyone as well. And so let's just jump right into it. We have got on our session today, the slides, which we are going to be giving you the links to as well. We have got, as always, our disclaimers around forward-looking statements and our IFRS measures. We are also basically keeping everything focused on 6 key points so that we can really make sure we have time for everyone on this as well. So let me just start by making this a little bit bigger so we can all see it. I'm going to start basically with a summary on the key things, right? We did launch a whole series of different things in the last month, and we just want to make sure everyone is up to date with the things that we're doing with the business, our partner portal, and also our degree programs, both MBA and also our doctorate in business administration, our DBA programs, and the new partnerships that we have. We have some new announcements also that are going to take place today, and there's going to be a press release coming out during this call on those announcements. So you'll be hearing that first here as well. We're going to go through the full coupon process, what it means, what you do with it, why we did it, what the results of it have been in terms of what we've learned through that process. And then we also have got a whole series of new investor-related programs. We have now, as I think everyone knows, tens of thousands of investors within Genius Group, and many of them are looking for smarter ways to be able to grow their businesses. So we're really building our community as well. So we're going to share a little bit about that with our investor retreat coming up. And that links us directly into our Entrepreneur Resort spinoff and why and when we're going to be doing that as well. And then we'll get into the Q&A. So let's start first of all with the partner portal. We talked about how we are linking now AI into the portal. And we also actually launched this a couple of weeks ago when we were, in fact, I think it was a week and a half. Yeah, about a week and a half ago when we ran our Learning Summit. And I want to give you a few highlights of that because I know that for many of you here, you're here as long-term investors and you really care about what's happening within the education revolution. And so I'm going to share with you how we've basically built an entire, as you can see here, plan, build, grow process for our partners. We have over 12,000 partners now, and how they're actually using our GeniusU platform for their education classes, right? Basically like to build a global classroom. Now, one thing I want to share about this in terms of how we're building it with AI and how we're also bringing partners on board. And I'll do it basically by just sharing a little bit about just how quickly things are moving forward. We are plugging in a whole series of really, really great AI-related tools. And we're also working with partners on different tools as well. I'll give you an example of just how powerful this can be. This company here, Marketing Blocks, which actually allows you to build full landing pages, banner ads, everything AI-driven, right? Like this is the future of where we are seeing the world go. And we are going to be seeing on GeniusU many, many amazing programs that are going to be taking place as a result of how AI is taking one of the biggest bottlenecks on education away, which is frankly course creation, right? It takes a huge amount of time to pull all this together. And when we launched this at our Learning Summit, which actually happened on the 2nd and 3rd of March, we also at that point were sharing the first of our partners that were on board, basically running through the program where they're applying all of this as well. And those partners actually included our country partners all over the world that we have as well. And some of you at the end of this investor session may have people that you know of who would be great education partners for us. running cities or running countries that are out there as well. And so this is basically a really great opportunity for you to be involved in the growth of what we're doing as well. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that has come out of this experience of becoming much more communicative with our investor community, is so much of what we've learned around the market manipulation story, which we have been very focused at, everything we've learned around the partnerships we can be building. All of that is coming out of two-way communication, where it's not just us communicating with investors, but our investors communicating back with us. As an example, I asked, I think it was about a week ago, what kind of acquisition targets or what kind of merger opportunities may be out there. Many of you replied to that. We're now following up with many because basically at the end of the day, if we actually do this in a way that is getting the power of the crowd to actually be supporting our growth going forward as well, then this becomes very much a collaborative process in terms of how we're growing Genius Group going forward as well. So the partner portal is now live, and very excited to see how that's now evolving. With that, we've also launched, and you'll see if you go back to last month's investor meeting when we actually launched our full prospectus and curriculum, we now have launched a number of our certified programs, which are together with some really, really great faculty members. We have Peter Demandis, who is the founder of the X Prize, the co-founder of Singularity University, also Space University. He's now come on board as one of our key speakers, together with Salim Ismail, who just is coming out with his book, which is called Exponential Organizations. And in both cases, they have got all of the very, very latest tools for entrepreneurs and investors to be keeping up with the trends that are taking place around the world. We are, as we've said in the past, very focused at 5 different industries, each of which are centralized and becoming decentralized, and where there are as many companies that are looking for talent but can't find the right skill sets as there are people that actually want to learn the skills that they need for these 5 industries. And those 5 industries are EdTech, which is obviously the one that we're in right now, where we're seeing a huge decentralization taking place right now from the centralized government-controlled universities and education system to now many, many, many people finding smarter ways for them to be able to get their certifications. But also MedTech is another big area where there are many companies that are looking for the right talents. We have space tech, obviously we have our NASA partnership and other partnerships we're now growing. And also same thing is happening on the green tech side, where the likes of Tesla and companies that are looking for the right certifications are looking at companies like Genius Group to say, okay, how do we actually partner up together to be able to build the right government accredited and also potentially government funded programs that they can work with. And then the final one, the 5th industry, is fintech, right? Which is basically one part of what we're going to be talking about here, where we do see ourselves being at the forefront of what's happening with the shift towards more decentralized exchanges, having a dual listing on Upstream, which is a blockchain-based exchange. These are exciting times that we're in right now as well. So we basically launched our California Business School, which now is launching not just our entrepreneur certificate programs, but combining it with the MBA program that we provide at UAV. For those of you who are wanting to use your NFT tokens to further your education, well, you can now do that. UAV basically has now got its programs, which includes the MBA programs, which you can see here, that you can now be a part of. And you can do this from anywhere in the world. You don't have to physically go to California to get a US degree to do that. And a second company or a second university that we have partnered up with is SSBM, which is the Swiss School of Business and Management. And we have just launching today our DBA together with SSBM. And this is an international certification, which is recognized all over the world. So very exciting for us to be basically now working with both European as well as American certificate providers. So this here, which is the slide basically, which is going to be part of our press release, is the launch of our international DBA with Swiss School of Business and Management. And as it says here now, as a result of us working with them, we have the ability to now give specializations in entrepreneurial DBAs, which allow you to then zoom into a particular area like data science, machine learning, business analytics, AI, and also exponential growth strategies. These are all the key areas going forward. I happen to be on a round the world trip at the moment. I'm in New York. I'm about to be going to Los Angeles, and then I'll be going on to Singapore, to Bali. And one of the things I'll be doing in LA is spending basically the next week with Salim Ismail and Peter Diamandis and top tech leaders in something called Abundance 360, where a lot of that content, which is just the cutting edge of where technology is going right now, will then also be integrated into the programs that I'll be sharing with you that we're all launching through this year as well. So we've been very, very busy behind the scenes in the launches of the new programs. This has all happened within the last 30 days. And I want to move on from that to now the NFT coupons. So first, I'm going to do this in two ways. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions around this, but I really hope that in the way I share this, you're going to get a good enough picture and view that you can then take the actions that you want to be taking straight off the back of this as well. So because these slides are going to be available to everyone, I'll start by just walking through the slides first of all, and then I'll actually show you live what the process actually looks like. So as we have said, and we said this right from the beginning when we said we wanted to be doing our NFT coupons, we basically had set the record date for February 28th. And then we then set today, March 15th, as the date when you can start claiming the coupons. So we are right on schedule right now. And those coupons are now available on Upstream for everyone who had shares on February 28th. And then from there, basically from March 15th, you got from now through to June 15th. So 3 months to claim the coupons, after which they expire. Once you claim the coupon, right, once you've got the NFT, you can then convert that. We're going to show you exactly how that works. And that happens on our GeniusU platform. And we're here to guide you through that whole process as well. And you can convert anytime over the next 6 months. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that as we go through this as well. Now, I know there's going to be some questions around the whole reason that we did the NFTs and what is the process in terms of the record date, how do we find out, how many shares there are, et cetera. So let me just make a big distinction because I know I've explained this a few times, but we always have new shareholders who come and join us as well. So before I go further, I just want to explain a really important distinction when we are talking about offering something like an NFT coupon versus something like a special dividend. So obviously back in January, when we started looking together with our illegal trading task force at all of the different steps we could take to really try and find out what is an accurate count of the number of shares and shareholders that we actually have, we learned, as I'm sure many of you already know, it's very difficult to get a very accurate count because, of course, it's possible for brokers to basically, give any kind of a number without necessarily showing if they've got like a lot of counterfeit shares that are out there, which we obviously, suspected we had from the data that we're getting from Share Intel. So as a result of that, we said, okay, well, if we're going to go and get a full count, it has to be on something which is not a cash dividend. It can't be on a shareholder perk because none of those steps, even something like sending out votes for an EGM, none of those steps are forcing every single share to have to be reported. The only way that happens is when you are offering something which cannot be delivered like cash or like a coupon. It cannot be delivered unless, because it's non-fungible, unless it is something like a share of a spin-off like Entrepreneur Resorts, which is obviously, what we're doing with Entrepreneur Resorts, or something like a merger where you're actually swapping the shares around, because then it has to be the company that is issuing them. And then as a result of that, you are forced to have to get a full share count. So because that takes time, and you'll see, because we're going to get to that our schedule of that taking place is in Q2, which is obviously months away. We didn't want to wait months going through that entire process and making sure we have all of the right approvals, et cetera, and do nothing until then. So we said, okay, we want to do something which actually allows us to have a way to be able to get at least half a picture if we can't get the full picture. So what happens when you do something like an NFT coupon, and again, we're one of the first to be doing this, is you're actually offering what is a shareholder perk, which means it's a discount. And by everyone having to go in to get the coupon the way I'm going to show you, we then can see, well, who's going in to get a coupon, but their name's not showing up on the register, which means that they weren't reported, right, in the numbers. This only works if we have everyone who's got a coupon to actually go in and claim it. Otherwise, we wouldn't know. So we can't get a full, it's not like with a special dividend where we get the full record data from everyone. We've got records from everyone, but it doesn't mean they're accurate. But it will come out when we basically have people go to get their coupons and find their names either not in the register or they have the wrong number of shares. And that's where we need your help, right? In terms of actually getting a really clear picture of where we are. Also be very aware that these coupons that we're delivering, we can do it multiple times. So at the moment, we've just announced this first one we're doing now. This effectively is a test run for many companies who are watching what we're doing right now. because there aren't that many who have done it on Upstream. There's actually only 2 other companies so far that have offered NFTs in the last 2 months, and before that there was none. All of this is part of basically the process of also having our shares on Upstream as well. And I want to explain a little bit about that as we go into it too. So that basically is the mechanism by which we would like you to be claiming on the coupon. So with that being said, let's go through the process of how you actually do it, right? So first of all, let me see if I can come back to my screen here. Here we go. All right, so a couple more slides, and then we're going to go into the demo. First of all, here you'll see on this second slide here, we also say that in the verification process that we're going to show you, which starts basically on the Upstream exchange. On the Upstream exchange, you'll be downloading the app. We'll give you the links to the app, so it's very easy for you to do that. Whether you've got basically Android or Apple, you then basically go in to set up your KYC process. You'll see that the KYC process, because it's basically asking, very simple, it's just asking for your identity, but then it needs to be checked. And because we've got a pretty high volume of people going through this, that they're basically, like Upstream is saying that they need up to 48 hours. Doesn't mean it's going to take 48 hours, but it could be up to 48 hours. During this time, when you are just getting yourself verified, you can't yet get the NFT, right? The NFT is there, but to claim it under your account needs to be live first of all. So it is going to take up to 48 hours, but don't worry, you can already take action now, even if you're waiting that 48 hours or 24 hours, whatever, however long it takes. But the steps that you go through are all shown here, and it obviously is also going to be on the Upstream app. Plus, one final thing I want to say is that we've got a video, which I will share with you in a moment as well, which also gives you basically the process as you go through it. And so once you've actually got yourself set up, you then go in to claim your NFT coupon. When you do this, the coupon itself may also take up to 72 hours. So again, this is because there's verification that needs to happen. What's happening behind the scenes is Upstream Exchange is checking your account, your name, together with the number of shares that you have that have been reported by your broker. And from that, it then basically is giving you an NFT, which is one NFT for however much that is. So if you have 1,000 shares, you're going to get $10,000 worth of an NFT. If you have 100,000 shares, you're going to get $1 million worth of an NFT. And it's going to be one NFT, which is going to be at that value. It cannot be resold. It cannot be transferred. It's yours. And it's for you to then redeem into our iGEMs, which are our credit system on GeniusU, which I'm going to show you as well. So basically, you can be doing that anytime in the next 3 months, but I highly recommend you do it sooner rather than later while you are here. And again, this could all happen within the next week. And you don't have to wait the week for your coupons. You can already be having a call with us, and we're going to explain how that works as well. We also have the slides here, which shows that once you've got the coupon, because one thing very important to understand here as well is because this is not something which can be delivered via your broker, because this is not something that the DTCC and the brokers are set up to deliver. This is why we basically have the process walking through. And I'm sure as time goes on, it will get more streamlined. But I think we've, together with Upstream Exchange, come up with the most streamlined process that we can. You'll find that you're going to get an email that's going to come through to you after you basically have got your NFT. And it's going to show you exactly with the link how to basically click on that link and come through to our campus, where you then are going to have the opportunity to book a call with us, which is the easiest thing to do, or actually explore the different courses and decide what you're going to do with your iGEMs on the different courses as well. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And this basically shows you how you can then redeem. So of course, you can redeem multiple times for multiple different courses throughout the next 6 months. So basically take your time, find the things that are right for you. And they're basically going to be all the things that we have within our prospectus. For anyone who missed the February meeting we had, we also have a link here to the prospectus so that you can actually go in and have a look at all the programs and our philosophy behind Genius Group, our campuses, and how we operate with that as well. And the final thing I'll share is that we have this thing here, which I'm going to make a little bit bigger, which basically shows you, again, with QR codes to make it very, very easy, shows you what you can be doing straight away. You can use your mobile phone even now to click and book up a call even now, right, with one of our team, or actually just go straight to Investor Campus to see the details that I'm about to show you. And that's all on here. And obviously, if you're watching this on the recording, which I know many people are, then again, it's all now here on the video as well. So with that being shared, let me actually show you what this all looks like as we actually go through the process. The first thing is, I'm going to share my screen so you can see this as well. The first thing is that when you actually go onto the App Store or onto the Android store, you're going to be able to download the right app. However, also the team will just drop this in as well. This is Upstream Exchange. You can come straight to Upstream Exchange and you can get the links here as well. And from here, you'll be able to see, just by exploring through it, what are the different listings that currently are on Upstream. They've got more and more companies like ourselves that are now becoming part of it as well. You can build your portfolio on here as well. You can collect different NFTs. You can have shares that are on here too. And I do want to say one thing is that we're still in we were hoping that by today, we would have Genius shares listed on Upstream. It's taking them a little bit longer. I think it's going to take another week or two. That does not affect your NFTs, the redemption process I'm going through. That is live today. But from the point of view of having shares on Upstream itself, do know that pretty much if you have, let's say, for example, 1,000 shares on the New York Stock Exchange, and you want to take a percentage of those shares, I don't know, let's say half those shares, maybe 500 shares, and put them onto Upstream, it's a very easy transfer process to move from NYC onto Upstream and then to move back to NYC as well. One tweet that I actually posted yesterday where I was sharing that the two companies that currently are on Upstream, one is Created and one is Jupiter Wellness. And I was making the point that basically on Upstream, they're at a very different price point than they are on the New York Stock Exchange. Upstream does not yet have obviously the same kind of liquidity as a big exchange like NYC. However, it does have the benefit. There is no short selling, there is no naked shorting. Everything is instantaneous, and so as a result of that, clearly, the fact that the share price is higher for people that have moved over to Upstream, there's a premium that people are putting on having a share there than having it on NASDAQ or OTC or NYC, which is interesting. Whether that's the case in the future or not, who knows? But that is the case as of now. And what's working together with Mark, the CEO of Upstream, he was saying, look, we're not looking to get huge numbers of people moving from NYC over to Upstream right now. However, we are wanting a beta group of people. And you'll see here that while I've posted this on Twitter, I did post about an hour ago that we're going to have the investor call. And I'll be announcing now that we're going to have a beta group, maybe around 10 people. That would be the first that Upstream will handhold you through taking some of your shares from New York Stock Exchange and just putting them on Upstream, right? And again, this is different. This is separate from what's happening with our NFTs. You don't need to do this at all. You can obviously just trade them on NYC. But if you're interested in seeing your shares now being linked to the blockchain and you would like to be part of this group, just go and post as other people have done here. You can see here it's already been posted. Many people have already posted down here. They all want to be part of the beta group. So we've obviously got a lot more than 10 people right now. There's no limit. If we had 20, 30, 40 people that want to be part of it, that's fine too. But this basically is really part of a new experiment that is happening with the beginnings of blockchain-based exchanges. In the case of all countries, it is possible once you're on Upstream to buy or sell and then transfer back to NYC at any point that you choose to, except for Canada and US. In Canada and US, you can list and you can sell. But at this point, regulations do not allow you yet to buy. Mark believes that will be resolved within the next couple of months, right? So we just have to wait until he's got the right partnerships to enable that to take place. But I think it's just a matter of time. But just so you all know that that's the current regulations as they are right now as well. So we are basically going to see that dual listing happening, and we are already now working together on the actual pathway for the NFTs. So what does it look like once you go through the process on the NFTs? And then you come to the GeniusU page. Well, this is GeniusU here, which is our EdTech platform. And you'll see that even if you just come to GeniusU without even going to the link that Upstream provides you, you'll see that on here, we already have the featured events. We have our different communities. There is this community here, which is the Investor Campus community, that when you click on it, it will take you to exactly the same page that everyone who is going to be getting their NFT are going to be brought to as well. You see up here, I have my gems, right? Like I've already earned gems on here as well. I can already be spending those gems as well. I myself have not yet redeemed my shares into my NFT, which I will be doing. And basically then they will all turn into my iGems that I'll be using as well. iGem stands for investor. We made them special for the investors coming on board right now. Investor, and then GEMS, GEM, stands for Genius Educator Merits, right? So basically this is our system for how we go about creating student credit instead of student debt, right? So for us, a huge part of this is that we don't believe in student debt. We believe that we should be earning as we're learning. And if we're earning credits, just like air miles, that we can then use against additional courses or events, then that really is the whole key here. You'll see that there's the first 3 steps that we ask people to take. And these 3 steps here, before you even are taking the iGEMs, are really worth taking. This first one here is free. These are all free, by the way. The first one, which is just taking our investor test, gives you a way to find out exactly what type of investor you are. So you can go through that pathway to basically see what actually makes most sense for your investment strategy. You'll see that there's a second one, which is going to this investor meeting now. So people that missed it can come back and watch it. And the third one is that we have a whole series of masterclasses, which are even happening over this week, next week. We have a stocks and shares masterclass happening. We have a crypto pathway masterclass happening next week. This one's happening tomorrow. We have an Impact Investor Summit coming up as well. So this basically is for you to explore. However, if you just want to get right down to it and be using your NFTs and iGEMs, you'll see that down here, we have this video. This video, by the way, hot off the press, I actually did this video today. That's and also the launch of NFTs and iGEMs. I'm actually looking right now. So this is exactly where I am right now, overlooking Times Square. And it was exactly, as I say here. It is 1 year since we were on our IPO roadshow. It was 1 year. I was actually over there in the Marriott running our roadshow 1 year ago for the IPO. So it is quite fitting that we're now doing this where we basically have got the whole steps. And I actually go through the step-by-step on here. So just watch the video if you like, and you can come to this later. But what it also has is both the upstream team and our own team going through the process, as you can see here, of every step I've just mentioned. So this will go through the whole thing for you. And this will go through all the way through every step on upstream, and then every step also that you take with the email coming through, and then also every step on this page right here as well. So off the back of that, this also just reminds you, if you forget everything I've just said, that you can set up your upstream account, get your KYC done, get your discount coupon, which is basically that NFT. You then from there can redeem it by just following the email and following the link on Upstream app. That will take you through to this page, where if you have already got yourself a account on here, which of course you can come on board quite easy to do, then you will see yourself on here already. In the case where you have not got yourself showing up here, it's most likely to look like this, where it says join for free because you haven't joined yet. And of course, if you just go through and it says to join, well, just simply click to join, and it will basically then automatically credit your iGEMs because it already knows who you are, already knows how many iGEMs you should be getting. And you'll see on here, we also have a live support, which means that basically at any point, if you need our help, we're here to help you as well, right? So we're basically there to connect with you. And this, again, is exactly the same page here where it gets you steps for each step that you take going through the process for the upstream. And then also we have made it very simple to show what are the kind of key highlights of things that we believe that investors are going to be most interested in. There are 3 aspects here. We do have an investor summit that's coming up in June 1st and 2nd. If you're interested to see the kind of things we talk about, further down on this page, there is actually an interview with our last guest speaker, which was Jim Rogers, when he was basically predicting exactly what's happening in the markets right now today. And if you're interested to see what that video looks like, it is actually further down here where you'll see the Jim Rogers video, right? So you can actually watch that if you're interested as well. What this also has is it also has basically the Genius Investor Metaversity, which is our 12-month membership program. You can be using your gems towards this as well. This is where we're going to be meeting up every month with different investors and basically sharing latest strategies of what's happening across the board on everything from property to stocks and shares to cryptocurrencies, etc. And we also have got another thing that we're announcing today for the first time, which is an investor retreat, which is going to take place from December 7th to 10th this year. We're saying it ahead of time because we always fill up. We only have 40 spots on this. The only people that come to this are investors. You're all invited, but obviously we have tens of thousands of investors. So it's really the first 40 that choose to book up for this. We will be 3 days or 2 days, 3 nights, which is going to be at our South Africa Game Lodge. Definitely recommend if you haven't been out South Africa or to the Game Lodge, you come join us on that. Very simple. On all of these, you can just book a call and this will take you right through to the booking where our team already has got like calls every day to work on a personalized path for each of our investors that are coming on board as well. So we know we're going to be very busy with all the investors coming and joining us, but I highly recommend, even as you're sharing this now, just go and click and book a call, and book it even while you're listening to me right now go through this demo. What you'll also see on here as well, which I think is really key for all of you, depending on whatever type of investor you are, what size family you have, what kind of company you have, is that down below we also have got each of the different programs that we already shared in our last investor meeting. Everything from entry level, having an investor dynamics report, which actually shows exactly what is your pathways through to the investor university I just mentioned. We have an investor dynamics masters, which is going to be taking place over 5 days, which is happening straight after our summit. And then we have our 12-month mentorings that we do with top investors, and I'm included in this as well. This is not just for people that have money to invest. It's also how do you go about raising funds? How do you go about angel investing? Because we have many entrepreneurs that are connecting up with investors as well. And that's a big part of what we do. We really believe that true education isn't just about learning. It's also about connecting. It's not about just what you know, it's who you know. And so as a result, a lot of entrepreneurs and investors come and find the opportunities within our communities in different countries as well. And the final thing, which I mentioned earlier, was our digital investor MBA, which we now have. And we have the same things on the entrepreneur side as well, with the entrepreneur dynamics report and each program as well. For everyone who's brand new to the things I'm sharing, because I'm not going to be covering a lot more on the programs, because this is much more for an investor update, but given that all investors are going to be using their iGEMs, it's worth knowing this. One thing I do want to say is that the very beginnings of our whole concept of Genius Group, because basically Genius Group comes from the saying, everyone's born a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go through its whole life believing it's stupid. So the whole concept of standardized testing, working on our weaknesses, this is not how entrepreneurs or investors go about self-learning. And so a really important part of where we got started with this whole idea of finding your genius was through a program that you actually see on this platform here, when you see both this here, which says Investor Dynamics Report, and this one here, which says Entrepreneur Dynamics Report. What this is a program which is actually 20 years old now, which basically has just been upgraded this year, which is based on something called Wealth Dynamics. So it's really basically saying that each of us have particular strengths. We have the assessment, which allows you to see what your strength is, and also your team, and also your family. So someone like a Warren Buffett has a very, very different path that he followed as an accumulator to someone like a Richard Branson that was very good at creating head in the clouds versus someone like Masayoshi Son, a deal maker, ear to the ground, right? So I'm not going to go through the whole system, rather than say that there are 8 very specific different ways that you can build value and leverage that value. You can use that as an entrepreneur. You can use it as an investor. And we have upgraded this. So instead of now having Richard Branson there, we've got the likes of Elon Musk. Instead of having the founder of Facebook, we have the founder of Ethereum, and so on, right? Basically, people who've made all of their wealth over the last 10 years, which has been in very different times from those that were 10 years or 20 years before that. And we've got a full report, which actually gives you, once you've actually done the test, a report of what kind of team you need to have, what kind of strategies you need to follow, what kind of role models you should have. And so we really are going into now key tools that allow you to personalize your journey, which is one of the most important things to do, as we all know, to do things that don't feel like hard work because it comes naturally to you. And that's a fundamental ethos that we have within Genius Group, is we should be igniting everyone's genius. And hopefully, right, through this journey, all of you as investors aren't just seeing the value of being part of Genius Group as an investor, but potentially as a student, and even potentially as a faculty member in the future as well. So that brings me to the final piece that I want to mention on these steps as well. Of course, once you have your iGEMs here, and you've got them basically in your portfolio, you can be choosing every week, if you like, to different programs that you want to come and join. And you can always keep building your relationship together with our team so that we can guide you to the right thing. And as well as having the 2 adult courses around Investor and Entrepreneur Campus, we also have got a university campus. Any of you who basically want to get your MBA or DBA or bachelor's or certifications in other programs, many of these are US government funded with the Department of Education. They're accredited by WASC, which is the accrediting body in California. And so this allows you to basically continue on your own education and give it basically an entrepreneurial or investor flavor. And then we also have got our school campus, which is everything from our Team Dynamics quiz through to our Young Entrepreneur Micro Course and Young Entrepreneur Academy. So if you do have children and you're wondering what they're going to do with them over the summer, why not put them into basically a startup competition to win $50,000 in startup prizes? This is all, again, done virtually. And we also have got parents as well as teachers that are becoming Genius School guides, igniting the genius of young people. So educator, again, this goes all the way up to masters in education programs that we have at our university as well. So we really are looking to build a full curriculum that you can now experiment with yourself as we go forward as well. And finally, with partners, yes, if you want to be either a city partner, an event partner, or even a country partner, if you want to bring your own content onto the platform, speak to exactly the same team, and they will be able to help you as well. So that pretty much is it in a nutshell. If I was one thing I would ask you to do, because there's a lot of information there, is just click and book a call, and then we can help you along the whole pathway and make sure that you're getting all your questions answered as we go through this as well. At the end of this session, we'll also answer any questions that come up, but hopefully that gives you a good overview of how this works. One final thing I will share as well, because I'm sure for many of you, as you go through this process and you basically get your NFTs and get your iGEMs, you're going to probably for the first time get deeper into how GeniusU works and the different steps of GeniusU as well. Here we are online. And so basically, one thing I do want to say is that once you're actually in the system and you're actually building up your profile, there's a very good chance you're going to start exploring different elements. And do know you can already start learning through either the Connect, Learn, Earn, Act, and Review process, where you're earning gems on any one of these. This is our clear philosophy. This is what spells clear, to take clear steps every day. You'll also find that there is an ongoing discussion that's taking place within the Investor Campus, which you can add to as well. And so if you're wondering what's the latest that's happening on the crypto space, if you're wondering what is the latest information on what's happened with SVB, like there are all these different articles that our different contributors are putting in here on a regular basis. You'll also find that there are events, and there's also a members directory. And this also is very different from what you find in LinkedIn, because you can actually be looking for anyone based on their passions, their purpose. So for example, if I was to go in here and look at who here has done the purpose test and basically come out with the United Nations global goal of, let's say, for example, climate action, you can go and actually look specifically for people that might be investing or even be entrepreneurs in the same space that you're in. And when you actually go looking at the people that might show up here, like here's Alison Shagrate, for example, who's based in the UK. And when you go to her profile, you can connect with her, you can email her, you can see what programs and products she is delivering on. And she does a lot of our PR, for example, just having to click on her. But basically, she's got a PR company where she's helping other entrepreneurs also to grow. You can find out basically all about her, what is her strengths, what is her passions, what is her purpose, and also what are the programs that she's been on as well. And I won't go any further than that, other than to say that basically this hopefully will take you down a pathway to see just why we've been so successful at getting over 4 million students come and join us, and have now several thousand students every single day joining us because they're coming in to connect as well as to learn, and also finding opportunities to earn, take actions, and review what they're doing as well. So that is it in a nutshell in terms of the NFT process. Definitely aim to set yourself a goal that by the end of this week, if you haven't done it already, get your NFT token, make sure you're set up on Upstream Exchange, and then come book a call with us if you haven't already, and let us walk you through the process as well as you go forward. Now, one final thing I want to say on this is that we want to make a distinction between Nobo and Obo. And I have a slide on this because if some of you happen to be with a broker or with a fund where they have not provided us with your details, then Upstream Exchange will help you through that process as well. So while we expect the vast majority of everyone will go through very smoothly, because you'll go through and say, okay, well, I've got this many shares, it all matches. If for any reason there's a mismatch, or we do not have your record, meaning that the broker has not provided us with your details, that could be for a number of reasons, obviously. But I want to share with you this slide, where on the slide, it says the difference between a Nobo versus an Obo. Nobo is a non-objecting shareholder. So when the brokers provide us with a full listing of who they say they have as shareholders through that brokerage and how many shares they have, we do an automatic verification as an Upstream goes through and checks and sees and then delivers you the NFT based on that. If on the other hand, you happen to be on a list, which is a minority that is on an Obo list, which is an objecting shareholders, what this means is that we do not have you on the list, and we now need to go and get extra information. Now, this might be that we're asking, Upstream will ask you for a copy of your brokerage account on February 28th, because obviously all brokerages give you the accounts at the end of the month. Or basically they'll be like in conversation with you to find the right details. So just to let you know that if there is any challenges, we're going to find that out as well. And we're going to be tracking where are there overcounting? Where do we have a lot more shares being reported as a result of NFTs being claimed than what we're being told by brokers, right? And then we basically are going to be going through this process, which will be ongoing over the next 3 months. And again, based on what we're doing with our Entrepreneur Resorts activity, that will lead us to a full special dividend count that will take place off the back of that as well. And that leads me onto the next of the updates. This update here, the investor retreat, I already have mentioned the fact that we have this retreat. This is, like I said, from 7th to 10th of December. This is taking place, like I already mentioned, and there's already a QR code here. So if you are interested in finding out more about this, booking a call and hearing more about it, just go ahead and take a shot of that now. And you can multitask and do that while we're on this conversation. But what I will share with you as well off the back of this is this is also an opportunity for us to get our investors more aware of what we're doing within Entrepreneur Resorts, because obviously this is the company that's going to be spun off. So Entrepreneur Resorts is basically a resort and a cafe company. We have a cafe on the beach in Sanur. We have a Genius Central in Singapore. Each of these are built as a licensable model, and we have different licensees around the world who basically have taken on the license and are now going to be launching in different parts of the world as well. Cow Game Lodge is the actual safari lodge where we have a private members lodge, which we will be going to as well with the group when we're out there. Absolutely beautiful place. This here is the, we've actually got, from where you dine, you've actually got an entire lake waterhole. So it's pretty much like 24/7 National Geographic, right? Where you're basically seeing all of the big 5 animals. And it is the one safari where you can go off-road, right? If you go to Kruger National Park or you go to Pilanesberg, which are the other 2 big ones, you're not allowed to drive off-road like this. You're going to stay on the main roads, whereas here you actually get right up with the wildlife. Is quite mind-blowing. So we're going to be there with basically 2 game drives a day and then meeting up. We are one of the few safari lodges that has a conference space. So we'll be meeting up in the conference space and connecting up with some great investors, hearing the latest opportunities globally, because we have people from all around the world. So if you're looking for diversification at the moment as well, which obviously with what we're seeing with the banking system and the economic system is a good idea to be doing that, then this is a great place for you to come and connect. And with that, let me come back to the slides here, because that kind of leads me onto now the timing of the spinoff. So we've been working very hard behind the scenes on the process for the spinoff. We are basically doing a capital restructuring, which in Singapore requires a court order, where we basically are verifying our balance sheets and what it all looks like post the spinoff. One of the first steps of this spinoff to actually have the company separated from Genius Group, where everyone gets shares in both Genius Group and also in the spinoff, is basically making sure that we've got it all operating effectively as a separate company. As I think most of you know, we have multiple companies within Genius Group. Entrepreneur Resorts already is public listed on the merged stock market. The merged stock market, which is based in Seychelles, happens to be, just by coincidence, the same merge which has partnered up with Horizon for the setting up of the Upstream exchange. So it's actually quite a simple move to move from the merged stock market, where we already listed in 2017, onto the Upstream exchange, right? So basically, while we are going through all of that, so we're not fully confirming that or announcing even that might happen, the fact that we're looking at opportunities of where we actually want to have the listing and what makes most sense, knowing that basically you are already having a relationship merge through the Upstream exchange, makes it much easier for you to then, as we go forward, basically see what we're doing with Entrepreneur Resorts and what our plans are going forward as well. We have timing of this in terms of what we're going to be doing. And so here, first of all, are the 5 steps. Step number 1 is the corporate restructuring capital reduction, which is where we have our lawyers, our accountants going through the details. We have not separated out the numbers in terms of revenues, in terms of costs, in terms of cash flow for Entrepreneur Resorts from the group to date. But obviously with the spinoff, we will be separating that out, and there will be 2 separate companies. We have set now the EGM. We did that this Monday for the actual voting for this to go ahead. That's going to be happening on the 28th of April. And the record date of that, record date meaning when we actually then do the spinoff, is likely to be 3 to 4 months, like late Q2, when that takes place as well. So obviously you need to have shares in the company in order to get the notice of the EGM. But as long as you have shares, within the next week or two, then you'll be getting that announcement. And then from there, once we have that approval, we'll go through court order approval in Singapore. We also need to get approval from the New York Stock Exchange and SEC, which means a new prospectus filing, which will all basically be part of this process as well. And then we'll then be distributing the shares. Many of you know, when you have a special dividend, let's say a company gives a special dividend of, I don't know, let's say 10 cents, then what would normally happen is an adjustment to the share price, which goes down by 10 cents during that time. Because we're doing this as a spin-off and a capital reduction, there is no change to the Genius Group share price. The day before, the day after is going to be the same share price. There's no adjustment other than how the stock performs in the marketplace, but everyone will be issued in the same percentage that you have shares within Genius Group. You'll be issued shares within Entrepreneur Resorts, and they will be already public on the merged stock market. We are then intending in the future to basically be looking at how we then evolve and grow the company. We'll give you more details of that when the time is right. But we're very excited by this because it does allow us to then have a hospitality business growing, supporting entrepreneurs, supporting the idea that we can all have, a place in paradise as we basically are learning and growing, connecting with people around the world. And then as well as having that hospitality business, we have obviously our education and edtech business, which has its own leadership management and also partnerships and acquisition targets, which will be quite different. So that basically is the steps that we're taking. And just again, showing you the schematic of it as well. Structure pre-spinoff, right now we have Genius Group, plus which owns 97%. We do have 3% owned by other shareholders as well, Entrepreneur Resorts. After we do the spinoff, then everyone is going to then have their own shares of Entrepreneur Resorts. And whether you choose to keep them, whether you choose to sell them, that's obviously your choice. And similarly with Genius Group as well. So that is the details of the Entrepreneur Resorts spinoff. Any questions? We can take them as well because we now have come on to Q&A. And I think I'm almost exactly on time. It gives us about 10, 15 minutes if we need it on the Q&A as well. So what I'd love to do to start with is I will go through the questions that Flora has already given me. So I can be answering the first of these, and then we'll bring Flora on to catch up with all the chat, which I haven't had a chance to be watching while I've been sharing with all of you. So first of all, let's have a look at the questions we have here. Question number one is about the coupons and trading is why is the process to issue coupons so complicated? Why can't the credits be directly issued to shareholders? So hopefully I've answered that already. It cannot be issued directly to shareholders because there's a limit to what the DTCC is able to basically deliver directly via the brokers, and they cannot deliver an NFT, right? So it has to be done this way right now. But we do hope that we've made it as simple as possible for everyone now to be able to get the coupons. And each time we do this, we'll keep making it simpler as well. But I think one of the biggest things of this is, again, we're not a tech company that has no customer support. We have got on basically the campus page, the ability for you to speak directly to somebody at any point. And we're keeping that live so that we look after you and make sure we answer all your questions as well. One other thing is you'll see at the bottom of the campus page, we also have an FAQ. So that way, any questions you might have that already have been answered by others, you'll find them there as well. The second thing, if I sell my shares tomorrow, this was actually asked back at the time when this was happening. If I sell my shares tomorrow as a holder of the record date, do I still get the coupons? Yes. Even if you sold from the 28th on the 1st of March, you still would have basically got them because you would have been part of the record. Unfortunately, if you bought for the first time after the 28th, then obviously you wouldn't have been a holder of record and you won't be getting those NFTs right now. But like I said, this is not something we're just doing once. We will be letting you know in the future when we're going to be doing another of these as well. And a lot of it has to do with the smoothness and success of us going through this experiment first time around as well. So your feedback is very valued on that as well. Third question, what exactly is the liability of a short, like as a naked short, who has borrowed Genius shares to provide the value of the coupon? Oh no, a different question. It's someone who actually is a legitimate short who's borrowed a Genius share to provide the value of the coupon to the actual owner of the shares. So just to be clear here, the brokerages have given us the name of the holder. It doesn't matter if someone borrowed your share or not. you're the one that, if you're the one that owns it, you're the one that's going to be getting the NFT coupons, not someone who borrowed it, because we have no record of who that person is. And if someone basically has created a counterfeit share where they basically created a sell order and never actually covered it, then of course they're not going to be necessarily on here either. And we're not necessarily going to see them unless basically whoever they then sold them on to comes to claim, and we don't have a record of that person, right? So that's why we want you to claim. The fourth one, do I have to transfer my shares to have the coupon? No, the transfer of shares is only required if shareholder wants to trade on Upstream. You don't have to put your shares on Upstream at all. You can leave them exactly where they are. You are getting the coupons based on one thing and one thing only, which was that you were holding shares on the 28th of February, and you're now seeing this effectively just like Berkshire Hathaway gives away shareholder perks. It's a shareholder perk that you're getting as a reward for being a shareholder on that date. Next question, when can I trade shares in Genius on Upstream? Yep, that I answered that also earlier today as well. For all countries outside of Canada and the USA, we are really going to go through a process, in the next, I think, week or two. I think Mark's going to confirm exactly when. Those who actually, post and say you'd like to be part of that beta group will obviously be connecting with you, or first, Upstream will be connecting with you, and then go through the process with you. You can move some or all of your shares, up to you, onto Upstream. If you are in the US and Canada, you cannot be buying shares, but you can be selling shares until that gets changed. In all other countries, you can buy and sell, right? And at any point, like I said before, you can transfer between NYC and Upstream the same Genius shares. Next question, share consolidation. All right, so this came off our last EGM. If the directors or the task force believe there is potential for a significant price recovery, why are we proceeding with the 1-for-10 reverse split, right? Which was voted for. I think I've said that already on Twitter. I'll say it again here. We are not intending to do a reverse split at any time soon, right? We don't see any need for it. The reason at the time when we actually even put that up for vote, it was in early January, when if there was any possibility that we might get delisted because of our share price, we wanted to give notice to everyone that we didn't want that to be seen as a potential for being a target for shorting. And that's why we said we wanted to have that just in case. But there's no reason right now that we should do that with our share price where it is right now. Same when it comes to basically, when would we be looking at potentially a buyback? We need to be resolving this situation we have right now at the moment with counterfeit shares before we start thinking about buying back, because reducing the float does not help if there's counterfeit shares that are out there, because they could just print more anyway. And then finally, two more questions. One on the spinoff. Can you discuss how shareholders should view the spinoff of Entrepreneur Resorts in terms of Genius Group shares and the competitive market for the business specifically? So I will share one thing which I think is important. We were already discussing whether there was merits in spinning off Entrepreneur Resorts before we even basically, had evidence from share intel of naked shorting. So it isn't just that we're doing this to actually force a record count. It just looked from the point of view of how we're really scaling the Genius Group plan, which is very much around the EdTech pathway and how we can make sure that every student is getting the best education they can get in the most personalized way. That's a very specific focus, which requires a very specific skill set in management, which is quite different from a hospitality company, which is making sure that it's got profitable locations. And so we said, well, they really are two different models, which made a lot of sense at the time when they actually merged. But at the moment, with the way that we're looking at acquisitions and our growth strategies, it could make better sense for all shareholders if they actually were separate. So that is, again, something I was sharing earlier as well. We will give you more information going forward about how Entrepreneur Resorts sits as an organization and its opportunities for growth around the world. We are seeing for sure a lot of people now who are thinking of how they are educating themselves or how they are learning as part of their travel budget, right? I'm sure many of you have actually made a trip because you joined a conference or because you basically were meeting up with a mastermind group or with others that you were learning from as well. I believe that's going to continue to grow. After the pandemic, we're seeing a huge explosion in travel as people have been going out there, exploring opportunities in other countries. And we've seen that with our locations, we become a meeting place for people to be showing up and to be connecting, and where we can be, effectively in all countries, creating virtual campuses. So when we do launch something like an MBA program, a DBA program, it can be launched in multiple locations all over the world at the same time. So there's always going to be a partnership between the two, but there's also going to be, I think, a lot of investors who are going to come and want to be part of Genius Group without necessarily being part of Entrepreneur Resorts. and others also that will want to come and become part of Entrepreneurs Resource as well. The actual current market value of those shares are, I believe, around about $2.70 or over $2.70 on the Merge Exchange as of now, which means that basically, the valuation of that company itself is $37 million right now. And that obviously, if we go right back to the beginning of this year, wasn't even the valuation of Genius Group on the New York Stock Exchange, right? So things have moved forward, things have evolved and they've changed as they've gone on. But certainly Entrepreneur Resource will also have a merger and acquisition strategy and partnership strategy to different targets to Genius Group, but also will be growing through both organic and also through inorganic growth. And that leads to the final question, M&A question. How is the M&A market for education companies looking currently? And are you seeing attractive valuations in market and robust pipelines or potential transactions? It is a buyer's market right now. I'm sure many of you are aware of this, that not just in education, but specifically in education right now, there is a shift that is taking place where those education institutions that are finding digital pathways to get to a larger audience are thriving better than those localized that are not finding that same pathway to those who are looking for education around the world. Because we provide that platform, our ability to be able to have acquisitions which can then evolve and grow, that have accreditations, that obviously is something which is a very, very good time for us to be able to be thinking about how we go about growing through acquisition. So we are very active looking at that area. Not so easy to do that when our share price is lower, but as we start recovering the share price, it becomes something which makes a lot more sense. And at the same time, we also, as I'm sure many of you know, have been in conversation with many CEOs of public listed companies as well. And we're going to continue those from the point of view of what makes sense partnership-wise, what makes sense acquisition-wise as well. Our guidance at the moment is based on us as we are without any other acquisitions. So any acquisitions, any partnerships we do in addition to that are accretive to that, and will basically be shared with you if and when they happen. So that is it in a nutshell. That's really all I can disclose at this point, but hopefully I've disclosed enough that as an investor in Genius Group, you've got a lot of your questions answered. With that, I'm going to invite Flora to come and join me to cover other questions that have shown up. Hey, Flora.
Hi, everyone. So I see there was a lot of questions on the chat, so I'll try to answer them all. So there was a lot of questions and, problems with like the app and, creating the account, doing KYC, putting the nationality when you create the account. All of that, please just email servicedesk@upstream.exchange. We have provided the email address on the chat, so please refer to that and they will answer all of your inquiries. Then someone asked that they've entered the coupon but then haven't heard back. Please note that there's about 72 hours for confirmation. It could be a lot shorter, of course, it could be 24 hours, but you will be getting a notification to say that the claim is successful. Someone wants to transfer its shares to Upstream. That cannot be done just yet. At the moment, you can only claim your coupon. Only once we're dual listed, you can transfer your shares to Upstream. How will I know that the number of shares I hold are valid? So as Roger explained, we have the list of shareholders. And for the ones that are not on our list, that means that they were objecting shareholders that did not want to provide their information. And in that case, they will have to ask their broker for a statement to prove that you had the shares. So that's how you'll know that your shares are valid. How do you force delivery? Again, this is the same. Ask for your broker for a statement, and they will be the one that will figure out the settlement of the borrowed shares. And that's how there was a different question on how to get shorts accountable. Same answer, get your broker for a statement, and then they'll be the one figuring out the settlement for the borrowed shares. Do I need to notify my broker that I have claimed the NFT coupon, or does Upstream handle this? No need to notify your broker because Upstream will just process everything on their side. You will only have to ask for your broker for a statement if you're not on a list of shareholders. Can I give the gems to my daughter so she can get education, or can I give my coupons to my children? Unfortunately, no, the iGems are not transferable, nor can they be donated. Can the GNS coupons be used for travel? Yes, they can. As Roger explained, there's this investor retreat that you can use them for. And we have entrepreneur resorts where you can also spend the iGEMs. Can I go to Africa with the iGEMs? Yes, you can if you go into the investor retreat. Do you have to move your shares to Upstream to claim the NFT? No, you do not need to. You can claim them already. Do you get the NFT for free, or do you have to surrender shares? You get your NFTs for free because you already bought the shares, and you don't need to surrender any of your shares. Then, when will the share count be done? So, as part of the record date, we have definitely already done the share count internally. So that is done on our side. Then other people have asked, would you mind posting the links to all those YouTube meetings on Facebook or put out a press release? So all of this is posted on social media other than Twitter. We also have press releases for all of our events, and you can see everything as well on our events page. You will have the links to all of the PRs and the events. So what happens when you discover a discrepancy between claimed NFTs and brokers on record? How can you tell who will be on the hook for the outstanding NFTs? So this is part of the process that we're doing. We have our illegal trading task force, and we'll be taking care of that. Unfortunately, this is something that we cannot comment on at the moment because this is ongoing. Can you please name the brokerages that are part of this naked short selling? Again, similarly, this is not something that we can comment just yet, so please be patient. Can you comment on the volume that happened today? Unfortunately, we can't comment on the share price on a daily basis, no volume. What are the update on the lawsuit or the next legal steps that we're going to be taking in the future? Similarly, this is something that unfortunately we cannot comment on. What is the NFT claim code? The claim code is GNS coupon, all in caps. Can I please have the link to the Flipbook document? So this will be made available in the presentation. There's one slide on it, and the presentation can be found on our investor relations website. Does GNS offer courses on shorting stocks? So we do provide investment courses, and it has a lot of different topics, whether on investments on the stock market or properties. So you can find all of this on that GeniusU platform. How many people can go into the resort? It's about 40 if you want to go to the investor retreat. What's going on the share buyback? So the share buyback, this is, the shareholders approved it in the last EGM. This is up to the company to use it, and when. So, news will come in the future if we decide to use the buyback. And why did did Roger bring resorts to be listed in the US if he wanted to be listed in Merge? So I want to correct this because Entrepreneur Resorts is listed on Merge at the moment. The 2% that is floating is listed there. And the spin-off would have the rest of the shares listed there as well. So that's for all the questions.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you very much, Flora. All right. That was super efficient going through that. We will continue to answer questions as they come because obviously we're continuing with our communication going forward as well. One thing that is hopefully like for everyone who's part of this, very clear is that the biggest thing we're committed to on all of this is communication, right? We really want to make sure that as we are on this journey going forward, that we're being as transparent as possible at every step of the way. There's a huge amount of activity going on behind the scenes, and we're working very, very hard at all of the plans that we have in place. I said this right at the very beginning when we started this journey, was that the very, very best way to be fighting any market manipulation, anything out there, is to make sure we have a super healthy company and how we're growing and in the opportunities that we're taking part of as well. So we will be sharing more news as it's happening. Love to be able to share more than I have shared on this call, but we are where we are, and we're going to be hearing a lot more coming up in the coming month. So thank you everyone so much for being here. do make sure you book up your call, and would love to see what pathway you decide you want to take with us in Genius Group. And in the meantime, thank you very much for your support. Thank you, the team that organized this. Thank you, Flora. All right, we'll call this to a close, and we'll be catching up with you all back on social media and out in the real world. Thanks, everyone.